What's up, guys? Scotty2 Hockey here, aka the Average Hockey Fan once again, and Game 2 of the preseason is upon us. The Montreal Canadiens face off against the Florida Panthers, and if you haven't seen them yet, I have tonight's lineup for you for the Habs. The top lineup tonight may surprise some people who's on the right wing. We have Thomas Tatar on the left wing, Philip Deneau as a center, and on the top line, right wing position, we have Jonathan Drouin. So let me know what you think of that in the comments, guys. On the second line, we have Charles Hudon left wing, Jesperi Kotkaniemi as the center, and Yoel Armia as the right wing. On the third line, a guy who really impressed me in the New Jersey preseason game, had a goal and assist. Yes, the goal was an empty netter, but the assist was an absolute beauty to Nate Thompson. Nick Cousins is the third line left wing. Another young player who we will all be keeping our eye on this preseason, hoping that he cracks the roster this year for Montreal. In my personal opinion, I think he's a lock that would have to play himself out of the lineup, especially with how good he looked in his NHL debut. Ryan Poehling is the third line center. And at the third line right wing position, a player a lot of Habs fans may not be familiar with, an absolute excellent player so far at the AHL level, had 60 points in just 62 games last year in the AHL. Riley Barber is the third line right wing. And on the fourth line, we have a guy who was a depth player last year for the Montreal Canadiens, but I think personally has been brought up just to make some competition for the other players at camp. Matthew Pekka is the fourth line right winger. And at the fourth line center position, we have Lucas Vejdemo, a 2015 Montreal Canadiens third round pick, pretty much an AHL player. These guys should be playing in Laval. Would very much surprise me if they cracked the lineup this year in Montreal. And last year in Laval, he had 29 points in 66 games played. And Alex Belzile is the fourth line right winger. He had 54 points in 74 games played last year. Now, as for the defense, the top pairing of the defense in this preseason game, I would expect would be the second pairing of the defense in the regular season. The top pairing tonight is Sherratt and Petrie. The second pairing are two guys definitely battling for depth positions and guys who could really have a realistic chance of finding themselves on the third line this year in Montreal. We have Mike Riley, who was re-signed this offseason, and Christian Folin, who was brought in at the deadline last year and also re-signed this offseason. On the third line, we have two interesting young players who, just like Riley and Folin, could find themselves battling for depth positions this year in Montreal, could find themselves in and out of the lineup and eventually in a spot where they belong. Either way, they're not going to make it in the top four this year. The top four, in my opinion, is pretty much a lock for Petrie and Mete and Weber on the top line, and Petrie and Sherratt on the second line. The third lines is where I'm interested in. I'd say it's a safe bet to say that Brett Kulak has earned that third pairing left-handed defensive side role, but other players could play themselves into that role if Brett Kulak were to struggle. So on the third line, we have acquired from Finland this year in the offseason, Otto Leskinen. He had 31 points in Kalpa La Liga. He's playing the left side. Heard a lot of good things about this kid. Heard he's very good on the power play, skates very well, has an excellent shot. Haven't seen a lot of footage, but heard a lot of good things about the kid. And on the right side, really impressed me in the last preseason game against the New Jersey Devils, except for the one turnover he made that led to a 2-on-1. Cale Fleury is going to be the third pairing right-handed defenseman in this game. He had 23 points in 62 games last year for the Laval Rockets. Now, the goalies tonight, like I said, they're kind of a letdown. It's pretty much the battle for the backup in Laval. Neither one of these guys are going to be the backup this year in Montreal. Unless Keith Kincaid really struggles, I could see Charlie Lindgren getting a shot in Montreal just to keep Primo down in the AHL so he can get a lot of starts. But Charlie Lindgren, in 33 games played last year in Laval, he only had 11-20-1 record. His goals against was a 2.94, so almost a 3 goals against, and he had a .884 save percentage. And the guy splitting the game tonight with Lindgren will be Michael McNiven, who in 30 games played last year in Laval had an 11-15-3 record with a 2.52 goals against and a .902 save percentage. So he did have a better goals against and a better save percentage than Charlie Lindgren in Laval. But one thing about Lindgren is he did play 10 games in the NHL for Montreal, and his NHL numbers are kind of solid. So I have a feeling he steps up his game when the pressure's on. So we'll see who plays well tonight. It's pretty much the battle for the backup in Laval when it comes to goaltending tonight. Interesting that Jonathan Drouin's on the right wing of the top line. Let me know what you think about that, guys, because usually he's a left winger and usually he's on the second line. Even this season, he got moved down to the third line. I was not expecting to see him on the top line, especially alongside Tatar and Deneau. That's kind of a weird mix there. Let me know what you think of that, guys. Really excited to see what we're going to get from Otto Leskinen. Really excited to see KK's sophomore year begin. I know it's only the preseason, but just to see what he looks like on the ice. Heard this kid put on a ton of weight, a ton of muscle, and he's ready to go for this season. Ryan Poehling, he should play well. Keep your eye on him. And as far as the defense goes, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how Sherratt and Petrie mesh, because Sherratt was brought in to play on that second line role. He's not going to take a top line role. Weber and Sherratt would be too slow together, so I see Sherratt and Petrie as a better mix. I'm really hoping they have good chemistry. Anyways, let me know what you think, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and of course, watch tonight's preseason game of the Montreal Canadiens versus the Florida Panthers. I'm going to be watching it. I know you're going to be watching it. Absolutely pumped that Habs hockey's back. Yes, it's the preseason, but we still have some real hockey to talk about. Go Habs, go. Scotty 2 Hockey, a.k.a. the Average Hockey Fan. Have a great day, folks. Over and out.